This is Phantology.
You may have heard of us.
All right, what's up, Green Council? This is Steven, your host with Phantology Podcast, along with my lifelong friend Josh and our resident Maester Hayden, here to talk about House of the Dragon, Episode 9, also titled The Green Council. And if you are listening on YouTube, I have my green shirt on because I'm repping the Greens right now. They consolidated some power here.
They did. Yeah, well, and then and I didn't realize that the name of this episode was the Green Council, but Hayden did prep me that this was going to be a mostly Greens episode, so I think that helped going into it if you didn't see the title, you know.
Yeah, and I think the next one is going to be about the Blacks.
So not to jump ahead to the next one, obviously we don't want to do spoilers, but it's going to be the Blacks, but it seems like from the promo, there's going to be a lot of action. Like there's some big time dragon action, and it looks like they're going to do one of the big inciting events of the whole thing to end the season. So man, I'm really looking forward to that, to the season finale. Because honestly, like usually episode 9 is the exciting one for Game of Thrones season. And it didn't really do it for me in terms of excitement. It was a good episode, but in my opinion, not one of the strongest episodes. In fact, probably one of the weaker ones. Like it wasn't bad TV by any means, but I had a couple issues with it.
I think that's kind of what happens when you have a season that's full of like bangers, that even a really strong episode might be fair. Like on the weaker side of the season. It's hard because it was last episode was so crazy, and then this one was a little bit, you know, more just moving pieces again into place, it seems like. But you know, the ending was pretty crazy. So
yeah, it was definitely like a big defining moment. You know, crowning Aegon to be king.
Yeah, it just didn't. I don't know how it didn't feel like that was going to be super permanent, especially with Rhaenys. What's her name?
Rhaenys.
Yeah,
Rhaenys. Yeah. Disrupting it like that, like it almost was like, you guys can do whatever you want over here, but we know who has the power, you know.
Mm-hmm. They kicked off the dance.
So this one, correct me if I'm wrong, Hayden, but there was not a lot of like actual events from Fire and Blood that like George wrote down, right? Like he obviously wrote that Aegon was crowned king and like the outline of this stuff happened, but a lot of it was kind of the invention of the showrunners, right?
Yeah, there was a lot of changes when it came to this episode. I mean, there were accounts the first change was like, how are they going to make Lyman Beesbury die, you know, in the council, and like he dies regardless, you know. But I was really excited to see like what account they would take in that instance, and they decided to go with Crispin just smashing his head on the little ball thing.
That was,
I don't know what that is, but yeah,
that was pretty brutal, man. That was one of the more violent, like I guess, I don't know, in terms of the whole Game of Thrones pantheon of deaths, it might not be up there, but
I just had a little slideshow of Game of Thrones deaths flash through my head.
Yeah,
as you said that.
I know. I same thing. I said that, I was like, wait, I might want to hedge myself a little bit because there's been some pretty brutal ones, but like
definitely
it's pretty intense, you know. Just
it was intense because Otto was like, no one leaves this room. We're not removing the body, you know, and everyone just had to sit around it and discuss what happened next.
But then they let I don't know the character's name, but the previous Lord Commander.
Yep.
They let him leave. I thought that Cole was gonna come after him.
Yeah. I kind of thought there was going to be a showdown. I feel like there almost needed to be a showdown right there. I was kind of disappointed that happened the way it did.
Well, he was, I mean, basically he left on the you know, he said basically, I can't do anything unless there is a king, you know, I won't take any command from you guys. And so they're like, all right, well, that's true, you know, we need to find the king.
So is that when it disbanded right then? Like, do you think they sat around and continued talking? Oh, so when he left, that's when they ended talking, you think?
Yeah.
Gotcha. That makes sense.
Okay, so speaking of finding the king, this was my issue with the episode because the tension in the episode all revolved around trying to find Aegon. And there were these two parties that were trying to find him. There were Otto's Goonies and Allison's heroes. Not really, I don't know, kind of heroes, whatever, however you want to view it. Anyway, Allison and Otto are both trying to find Aegon. And the reason stated for wanting to find him is because they want to like have his ear to give him advice to say either go kill Rhaenyra or spare Rhaenyra. But in the end, like the result of finding Aegon was a 10-minute conversation with him in the carriage on the way to being coronated. Like the result of finding him, which was the big thing that all the tension hung on, didn't really seem to align with how important the episode was trying to tell me it was, that one side or the other finds him, if that makes sense. So that was my beef the whole time watching. I was like, why do we care so much which side finds him? Like, I get that we want to find him, but I don't really care who does.
That's fair. I mean, we did have the conversation with Otto and Allison finally, where Allison kind of steps up to him, and then
and that was good.
Yeah, that was good. And then he basically just gave it to her. He's like, all right, as you wish. Like, you go find, like, Aegon's yours,
Yeah, I feel like that is kind of a plot contrivance. What am I trying to say? Like convenience or contrivance. What am I trying to say? I don't even know.
Contrivance, yeah, not a word, but a convenience of the plot.
Yeah. There's a word there.
Yeah.
Anyway,
you've been under the weather. We'll excuse you.
Yeah. Anyway, I feel like that is a kind of just leading into like, we need something to spur on the episode to make it a little bit more exciting, and I agree, could have probably been done a little bit better. I thought that there was going to like that Aemon was going to maybe like just kill him on the spot or something, or like maybe just find some other way to get rid of him. But we did pick up a lot of clues as to what was going on in King's Landing. While that was going on, we saw the importance of the what's her name? The White Worm.
Yeah, Massaria, the White Worm.
We saw her really come into play, and I hope that she continues to have a big part, because she really is a pretty compelling character.
So you don't believe that she died in the fire?
Oh, so that's what Hayden and I were trying to figure out, what the fire was all about. I thought,
yeah.
Go ahead, Hayden.
Yeah, no, I just wasn't sure. I couldn't figure out that scene because, I mean, I think that Talia is her name, the servant, the spy servant, that's working with the White Worm. She like lit the candles in the window, right? To like, I think that was to like signal to Massaria that the king had died, right? But then after that conversation with Otto and Massaria, like I don't really know what the building burning was. I don't know. I couldn't correlate those two because I didn't see that. Maybe I just didn't catch it. I didn't see that building like in the previous scenes. But
I thought it was just a little bit after the weird scene with Larys and Alicent in the foot fetish, where she tells him to go
eternally.
Yeah, right. Yeah, seriously. She tells him to go take care of the White Worm, and then we know that he killed his family via fire before, and there's just like a hooded figure walking away. I just thought that was the way of showing us that like now an attempt was made to burn down another enemy.
That makes a lot of sense. That doesn't make a lot of sense.
I thought it was Aemon had noticed the bastard that was in like the house, like the place that, and I thought that it was him like burning that house down to like kill the bastard, so that there wasn't a claim to the throne. That's kind of what my thought was, but I don't really have any evidence. It might not even be the same building. So that was just what I thought when I saw it. I haven't gone back to rewatch it.
Yeah, I got to do a rewatch just for that scene. It's kind of put the pieces together again.
I'm sure there's somebody that's put.
It was another dark scene. The show continued. Like honestly, my main criticism of the show is it's just too dark. It's just too hard to see. It's like, why should it be a struggle for me to see? I know I've harped on this before. The whole internet hates this, but like, why? I just don't.
I don't
anyway,
think it's that bad.
I didn't think this episode was that bad. I did enjoy the darker scenes of the Red Keep. I thought that was really nice.
My rant is that the subtitles on HBO, and Hayden served me around about this before, but the subtitles are white, and I don't have like a super nice OLED, so like when the subtitles come on, like it brightens like the entire display and like kind of washes everything out.
Maybe
So
that's my whole problem.
if I turn the subtitles
Mhm.
off, then it does look a lot better. But I watch most things
Mm.
with subtitles on, so it kind of annoys me. But
Mhm. Could be.
anyway.
Okay. I'll give that a shot for the finale.
Yeah,
Okay,
but
so yeah, go ahead, Hayden.
back to that Massaria, the conversation that she had with Otto, I thought that was really, really neat. Like her kind of stepping to him and saying, like, you don't have any power besides what the people give you. I thought
Mhm.
that was interesting.
Which
Yeah.
we see then in the coronation with all the people jammed into the. Is that
Mhm.
is that the Sept of Baelor? Is that
No,
the
that's
thing
the dragon pit that they were
Okay.
all.
Oh, makes sense since
I guess that
okay.
that connects.
Dragon
That's
is
connects some
underneath.
pieces.
Yeah.
Was the dragon pit typically where they would crown a king? I guess I thought they would do that like in the Holy Sept.
I don't know. I mean, yeah, I guess they decided to do it in the dragon pit for Aegon.
For another plot contrivance of
Yeah.
Josh's.
Okay, that's a word. I looked it up.
Contrivance?
Yeah, look.
Yeah, I think you were trying to say
Yeah,
contrivance.
that's what I was trying to say. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
But try. Yeah.
yeah, you got it. You
I
got
couldn't
it.
get
Man.
it out. I could see it in my head. I couldn't say it.
Right.
Okay.
Right. So there was another plot point there with Rhaenys and Maelys, right?
Yeah.
Is that
Maelys.
yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, coming out of there. So convenient that they're doing it at the dragon pit so she could bust up and break up the whole thing.
Right. Yeah. And that does happen in the not that like the dragon doesn't burst, Rhaenys doesn't burst out in the books, but they do the coordination in the dragon pit, I'm pretty sure. If I remember right.
Okay. So not a contrivance, real fake history.
Yeah, and then we finally got what Helena was saying with the beast beneath the boards. We were trying to figure that out.
Oh, okay.
I'm pretty sure
Okay.
that's what
that's what we thought.
that meant.
Okay. So I thought it was referring to something that's going to happen, I'm guessing, in the next season.
Mm.
I think you probably know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. So that's why I wasn't sure what it might be referring to, because there are multiple things that it could be. But then like beast, dragon, beneath,
Yeah.
And then
Okay.
Helena says it one
obvious
more
now.
time in that episode. So I was like,
Mhm.
all right, that's probably what they meant by it,
Mhm.
which is cool.
Man, what was the death toll for the small folk from that?
I know, right?
Like there were a lot of people in there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Somebody should calculate that out.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So Rhaenys, yeah, she's so nice and noble and not killing.
Well, I mean, it was her only way of escaping, I don't know.
Yeah,
She could. It seems like she could have waited until everybody left, and then done it.
I mean, I think
I think they would have went and looked for her, but I don't know. I think she was on a time crunch there.
And maybe if the doors were
because all of them were up there on the stage for the coronation, but they know, that she's a player. They locked her up, so they'd be looking for her.
Yeah. And it just reinforces what they were kind of showing throughout the episode, is that the Targaryens and the royalty don't really care too much about the loss of life with the small folk, with the children fighting and killing each other in the pits, and just all of Flea Bottom is just a horrid place to live. And but they do still need the power from the people. And I thought that scene where they all started cheering Aegon was like pretty powerful and interesting, as Aegon's like, hey, I kind of like this a little bit, and he grew as a character, and then the whole thing unraveled really quickly, since you saw that Rhaenys didn't care if the small folk all died.
Right. Yeah. It just shows how like dangerous dragons are too, and how this whole conflict is going to amount to a lot of civilian deaths, innocent people.
So, okay, while we're on this, I mean, I think it is kind of a controversy. I haven't seen that much discussion around the episode, but the discussion I have seen has centered around like that decision to for Rhaenys not to just torch everyone, like
not go Daenerys.
yeah, is she not? Well, not. I mean, obviously not torch the whole of King's Landing, but like not torch.
Well, sure. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, not yeah. Like it seems like she could have ended the whole conflict right there. Like, why didn't she? Slash, like, does that make sense for her not to do? It's kind of like when in Obi-Wan, when we saw that like Obi-Wan could have killed Vader right then. Like, is he now responsible for kind of like all the deaths and stuff that comes after? Anyway,
right.
That's the discussion topic. Yeah,
it's a good point. I don't know if it's hard to say if she really had it in her to, there's a couple of people up there that she still felt for, like Allison, I think, as a mother. That's the way Ryan Condal put it, in the episode review. But then also like Helena's up there, and Helena's kind of just like a victim of this whole situation, it seems. She's just in it. So I don't know. I think that Rhaenys is kind of feeling a little compassionate there.
And also, I mean, there's a ton of witnesses. So if that would have turned the whole of King's Landing against, like, kind of the theme of that episode was that you need King's Landing behind you. So if you see, like, they had all just been cheering for King Aegon. So like if they see somebody just like commit regicide, is that the word?
Yeah.
Regicide. If they see her just kill the king and all the surrounding people, then like, they might not be able to convince kings, like the small folk, to follow and like,
Yeah,
that's true. All of a sudden they're rebels and tyrants,
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I mean, it seems like King's Landing is already a big fan of the Greens. They
totally.
And back in what episode, like 3 or 4, when Rhaenyra and Daemon were going through the city and they stopped and watched that little play, because it's pretty apparent that King's Landing doesn't really want Rhaenyra. They're big fans of the whole, I guess the patriarchy, right?
Well,
yeah, the order.
And also it's like Rhaenyra hasn't been around, like she's been off and she just left in her youth, it's like she hasn't been there since she was a little girl, and like Alicent and Aegon and Aemon has been there, and I'm sure like have been, even if they've been whoring around a bit, like they've still been.
And that rumors of Rhaenyra's bastards are not just confined to the Red Keep. I'm sure all of King's Landing is aware that her children are very strong.
Yeah. Okay.
So that said, I mean, I guess the Blacks have the dragons, and that's
the Greens have dragons, and the Blacks do too. The Blacks have more dragons, but the Greens have Vhagar. So it's
right.
That's fun. Oh man, I'm so excited to see all this play out. Moving on.
And honestly, I'm not convinced that Rhaenys is like totally on the black side. Like, I think she is, but also I think if it's apparent that like the Greens have the upper hand, then she would like call in that favor of not like killing off them. You know what I mean? Like, okay. I could feasibly see her, still continuing to play both sides, because she's kind of done that her entire life, it seems like.
But her grandchildren are on the black side.
That's true. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And she didn't appreciate being locked up, but like she was about to throw Rhaenyra under the bus, during when they were before Viserys came and supported and like spoke for her, so
yeah. Well, and that conversation between Alicent and Rhaenys was super great. Like Alicent, Rhaenys finally stuck it to Alicent, just telling her like, hey, you've just been like following the men, you're not really taking a step up for the women in the realm. You're not basically like they've been plotting behind your back, and you're not really a big part of this. So
we totally skipped over that scene, but that was pretty powerful when we just saw Alicent just like put her head in her hands, realizing that like that like, even though she thought, because I'm still torn, like, right, what we were talking about last episode, even though she might think that she's in the right, she realizes it doesn't even matter that she thinks she's in the right, because that was going to happen regardless of what Viserys said. So while I think she does honestly believe like that she's acting in the best like interests of Viserys and the kingdom, but she realizes that it doesn't matter because it doesn't matter to anyone else, you know?
Yeah. Like how insignificant she actually was in that whole thing.
Yeah.
There's so many other people plotting behind her.
And I'm really glad that happened, because if you remember, my beef with episode 8 was I thought it would have been really dumb if all of a sudden Alicent was like, oh, Viserys's drug-addled mind said that Aegon should be king, and that's going to change everything. So I'm glad that, in fact, it wasn't really important at all. And the other, the real powers that be behind Alicent's back were putting all these things in motion. That feels really Game of Thrones.
It feels good because it keeps you sympathetic to her, and like Alicent is still a sympathetic character for me. Like, I still want her to like have some measure of success, right? Like, so I think they handle that well.
The thing that show's doing a really good job of is you're both like cheering for and also despising both sides at the same time.
Yeah, it just depends on what's going on. Like, it was brutal to watch her be taken advantage of by. We haven't even talked about the foot fetish scene. It was like brutal to watch her be taken advantage of by Larys, like just for some meager like scraps of information there. She was exploited and made to show that like she was still just an object for like a male's gratification.
Right. Yeah.
Anyway, Hayden and I were discussing. So my theory is that the Weaver, and you guys might know this, Hayden had a pretty good poker face last night, but my theory is that the Weaver is Otto, and that Larys is going to take Otto out next. That's my running theory.
How did that conversation go again? Remind me. He was saying that there's just like a Weaver of spy network throughout the Red Keep.
Yeah, it was basically alluding to the spy network, and said the Weaver, not naming anyone by name. And I don't know, we don't know.
If you cut off the head, then everything.
Yeah, if you cut off, that's what it was.
Yeah. Then, so my kind of theory is that it's Otto, because he already killed his entire family. Like, I don't think that.
Yeah, he's got no qualms.
I just think it would be what scene I want is for Alicent to like have that same scene when she realized that was because of him that all those people, that all the Strongs died, only that it was like maybe like Otto and like maybe even Aegon or something, or like one of her sons, like that she's the reason that they died. I think that would be like a really powerful scene, but who knows if we get that. It'll also be devastating. So I'm not saying I want that to happen, but
So I think next season we need to get some kind of like every episode betting pool of who's gonna die. That was a fun thing to do when Game of Thrones was originally coming out, and there weren't a ton of characters who actually died in this season, but going forward there might be. So we should totally do that, because the early Game of Thrones seasons, the main characters were just getting offed like crazy, and by the end they kind of had a core group of characters that for a story to survive, you can't just kill everyone. So those group of characters kind of made it through most of the middle to end seasons, but I think the rest of House of the Dragon is going to be pretty fun to do, like death pools.
I also decided I'm going to read Fire and Blood after the season comes out.
Okay.
I don't really want to wait to find out the rest of the story.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Yeah. It's fun to watch it, but I also want to be involved in the discussions about it. So.
Well, there's another prophecy, I think, in that episode when we first see Helena, when Alicent goes to find Aegon and she goes into Helena's room and Jaehaerys and Jaehaera are there. Helena says, if one possesses a thing, the other will take it away, or something like that. What do you guys speculate on that? Any theories?
It might be related to the thing that I thought was the beast below the board. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm thinking too. If we're thinking of the same thing, I'm thinking that might be it. But it also, it could refer to this finale episode. So
yeah, they might just try to keep the prophecies like self-contained within the season.
Yeah, I'm thinking that might be what happens.
Okay, so who won and lost? What characters did the most for their cause, and what characters failed?
Ooh, this one's hard. I'm thinking Aegon was the winner of this episode because he actually realized that he could be a ruler. And then I'm thinking that the twin that got betrayed, Eric, whichever
Eric or Eric?
is.
Eric or which Eric?
That they were the loser. Man, it would suck if I went into battle, into conflict, and Ben just stood there and hung me out to dry. And that would be a pretty low moment.
Yeah.
So there's my winner and loser.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
I need a second to think, Steven. If you want to go first.
Yeah. I probably should have come prepared as well. Winner. I would say Allison, but she also kind of, between Allison and Otto, they both had good and bad things happen. I'm gonna say Otto, because clearly this is something he's been planning behind the scenes for a long time, and although he didn't not all of his plans came to fruition, because Allison kind of stood up to him, and his hit squad over to Dragonstone may or may not work out because he didn't get enough of Aegon's ear. He did get his grandson crowned king, which is, since the time he's come to King's Landing, that's what he's been trying to do from episode 1, basically, of the show. So he big winner for him for those reasons. Loser, man, I'm gonna say Kristen Cole, just because he seems so lost, and every time the guy just takes the wrong turn, almost now he's just blind to this weird devotion, and I don't know it doesn't seem like things are going well for him. He's not under any bodily threat, but at the same time, he can't go to bed happy, right? He's got a lot of issues.
I'd have to agree with you. I think Crispin is just he's just the worst. He's always my my loser for every episode. I don't know. There's just no. I don't know how anyone could like him, to be honest. No, but for real, I think the loser of the episode was that one unnamed High Lord that tried to escape the castle. He tried to escape the keep on the horse, and then Laris caught him, and he got hung. And I was like, dang, we don't even know who he was, But
dude,
I don't think they named him at all.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. At that point, I'm just bending the knee.
Yeah, for real. Poor guy, though.
Words are wind, right? Bend the knee, say whatever, get out the next day. I don't know why's he got to leave right then.
Yeah,
that's true.
If you don't want to support him, get out and flee over to wherever. Just
I gotta say the winner for me was well, I think there's a couple. I think Lyman Beesbury went out on a speaking his truth and really backing Rhaenyra till the end, and backing Viserys till the end. Little Viserys fanboy. And so he went out on his own terms there. But also I think Rhaenys, just because I'm so team black, still. And I just think that Rhaenys escaping, without her escape, there'd be no knowledge given to the blacks, and this whole thing, not immediately, and they wouldn't have her dragon and everything. So I think that's a big move for her and for Team Black.
All right, finale coming up, and tragically, Hayden's not going to be there with us for the finale review next week.
Yeah, sadly. But I'm gonna watch it a few times after. So I'm thinking I'll rewatch the whole season this week and then watch the finale.
That's how you become a Grand Maester on podcast.
Oh man.
All right, man. I'm expecting big things. I'm really thinking this finale is like 10 out of 10 action, intrigue, full on Game of Thrones. Like my hype could not be any higher.
I agree.
Totally.
Nice. All right. Well, thank you guys for reviewing episode 9. Thanks for listening. See you guys later.
See ya.
Bye.